You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network. New shows every day. Find us at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Welcome to episode 43 of season 2 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings have a home. Actually, tirades and impassioned pleas today, Mike, including NHL tirades and impassioned pleas. This is going to be Red Wings Rant turned up to 11. A lot of rants going today. So, obviously, I think you can tell. What I'm excited to talk about would be one, Tom Wilson and NHL Player Safety in the NHL in general. Just kind of sucking. And we'll go over the last couple of games for the season. I think I'm going to need to lower the shade here in my office because
we've never gone this early, and I can see it's blinding you, man. It's not good.
Yeah, the sun's about to come a little bit lower too, so while we're mid-episode, I'll be blinded completely. But before we get into all that, we do have a little bit of business to take care of.
Oh, business. That's every episode. All right. Well, Matt, the business keeps coming, and so do the hits. They're literally coming here with another boxing event. Here it comes. Oh, boy. Who loves boxing? You know, I love Rocky. So it turns out there's real boxing, too. And this weekend, there's going to be some pretty respected fighters stepping in the ring. I don't want to name them. I don't want to pick favorites, so I'm not going to name them. But there's no place to get in on all the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. It's true. I just Googled it. Still up top. This weekend's fight, DraftKings offering all new users a shot at turning $1 into $55. To celebrate this weekend's huge event, DraftKings Sportsbook is offering new users. Old users, old hat, you're out. So newbies, and newbies. The opportunity to get 55-1 odds in either main event fighter to win this weekend's fight. Do it. That's bet $1, and if the fighter of your choice wins, caveats, you win $55. Matt, take it away.
Plus, with basketball and hockey playoffs right around the corner, DraftKings Sportsbook has even more ways for you to make it rain. DraftKings Sportsbook is safe, secure, and reliable, meaning you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN when you sign up for a limited time. All new users can bet $1 to win $55 on this weekend's main event. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook is going all out for new users by offering them the chance to win $55 when placing a bet of $1 on this weekend's big fight. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Boom.
Matthew.
What's up?
I don't know if business has ever just helped us sashay into our first segment more just in lockstep than this week. Because if any sport could use some sanctioned, rule-abiding fighting, it's the NHL. Because yet again, we've had another violent outburst on the ice. It doesn't sound like we're handling this quite like we could be. And the New York Rangers, Matt, in an unprecedented move, released a public statement for everybody to read and enjoy and basically get behind them. Matt, what the heck happened this week?
Well, I want to go through a quick recap. Let me tell the folks that we are live here on Twitter.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to be speaking slower. There we go. We're talking Wings and Wilson live. All right. There we go. That's up there.
Beautiful. All
right. So, Mike, recap what happened. I'm going to steal from Greg Wyshynski's article, which a lot of people...
Friend of the show.
Yeah, right. Friend of the show. A lot of people are not fans of what Greg typed up yesterday, so we're not going to talk about his opinion. But Greg laid it out pretty clear for everyone. Wilson fined $5,000 for punching forward Pavel Buchnevich in the back of the head on Monday night while he was face down on the ice. That's where the $5,000 fine comes from. It gets entangled, and Wilson comes after him. Ranger center Ryan Strome pulls Wilson off his teammate. Wilson began engaging with him. Then Artemi Panarin jumps on Wilson's back to pull him off Strome. Wilson responded by flipping Panarin to the ice, which Panarin, Mike, no helmet, by the way. The replays show that this is me. I'm stepping in for Greg here. Replays show Tom Wilson not only grabbed Panarin by the back of the head and had the had his upper body. How do I want to say this? Position to push him from top and pull him down from the bottom, and that resulted in Panarin going headfirst into the ice. And the Rangers made it apparent to everyone yesterday that he's going to be out for the rest of the season. So, Mike, I have a few thoughts myself. So there's our recap. So it starts with everybody not being happy with Tom Wilson's $5,000 fine. Not enough. That's a number one. If they had said, you know what, Tom Wilson, you're done for the season for that. This is ridiculous. We wouldn't even be talking about this right now. Actually, what we'd probably be talking about is, wow, NHL Player Safety did something right for once. And the reason I say that, Mike, is because he's a repeat offender. I mean, if there's any name that I would have been able to guess first, if somebody said, guess who did this, it would have been Tom Wilson. He's always involved in this stuff. And, there's another thing we need to talk about is there's always a ton of people that are ready to hang him and a ton of people willing to defend him. Neither side is correct. But, Mike, he knows this. This is a number one. This is the worst part of this, and nobody's talking about this. Mike, he's a repeat offender. He should have it in the back of his mind that this could hurt my team's chances to end this season with, the best position possible. Also, I could be missing the first round of the playoffs.
Oh.
So, what was that?
I was trying to rewatch it while you were describing it, and it happened so quickly. I think if Tom Wilson was not a repeat offender, you could almost excuse it to be like, well, fights happen really fast. But, man, that DDT into the ice for Panarin does not look good.
Right. And we're getting so far outside of like, oh, this guy's a goon. He's a fighter. That's not fighting. Any hoozles. Where was I? Damn it. Right. So he's a repeat offender. He does this knowing, Mike, that if you want to look at it that, oh man, I don't give a shit about the Washington Capitol fans. I don't give a shit about my team. I'm going to do this. And it's not like, I don't care. I can do whatever I want. I'm Tom Wilson. I'm going to do what I feel is best for me right now. Now, a lot of people would come straight back and argue, well, he's in the heat of the moment. So that's just what happens. All right, Mike, I've been in the heat of the moment. I'm pretty sure I haven't gotten leverage on anybody's top end and pulled them by the back of the head, especially a guy I have a lot of strength and size over, and decided they need to meet the ground quicker than I think they'd like. I've been able to say that's pretty sure, Mike. I haven't run into that situation in my lifetime. But the other problem here, Mike, is that he's so willing to do this. It's because of what the NHL culture is and how he's been punished before. Because he knows it's not going to be that bad. He knows he can do this kind of stuff. And regardless of what of how Panarin is hurt now, it doesn't matter because he did slam a guy's head into the ice. And it's not like he hasn't tried to hit a guy in the head before. And clearly, whatever's happened in the past, like however many people have said, you can't judge a guy in the heat of the moment, and you can't take a guy out of the league because you have to give him a chance to learn. What has he shown so far that he's willing to be a safer NHL player? He's willing to make sure that his comrades are not taken down to the ice and could be hurt and injured way beyond what we're seeing right now with Panarin. Because, Mike, we don't know everything about the human brain, but we all know a story. Brain bleed, could be a concussion. I'm not saying that's what happened to Panarin. I'm saying when those types of actions happen, when that physical interaction happens, could be brain bleed, could lead to death. So what the fuck are we doing here? How many times does this guy need to be involved in these situations before the NHL steps up, the fans stop supporting him? Because again, everybody, Capitals fans, hey, guess what? He didn't give a fuck about you because he put that on the line. He said, "Hey, I'll put the first round on the line and do this." There wasn't a thought in his head that, "Oh, I shouldn't do this," or I'll shake a guy off my back and not ram his head into the ground. He clearly is only thinking of himself. There's my evidence to say he doesn't even care about you and all the money you spend on buying Capitals jerseys. If there was a chance to get inside the building, all the money you spend to get inside that building, he just proved to you he also doesn't care about that. And he's done it so many times before. So just so many things wrong with people constantly defending him. But again, is this all on Tom Wilson? The action, absolutely. The fact that this is being defended by NHL fans and the fact that he does this and probably has it in the back of his head while there's a chunk of ice in the back of Panarin's head, in the back of Tom Wilson's head, he's telling himself the punishment's probably not going to be that bad because you know what? Gosh darn it. That's just what hockey is. Oh man. Shucks. We can't change it. That's what hockey is. So yeah, this is an NHL problem. This is a player safety problem. This is a Tom Wilson problem. And, Mike, I have no problem saying this, but as many people that have said, I like violence in my hockey, Mike, you can get physical hockey and not have what happened. You can punish a guy for what that is, for what Tom Wilson did. You can take him out of the league, Mike, and you're still going to have physical hockey. This is like those same arguments where people are like, don't take away my guns. And then on the other political side, it's, well, we just kind of think you shouldn't have assault rifles in the home. It's like, why don't we take the assault rifle out of the NHL and that we still have physical hockey? I don't know. All right. So what is that?
So
8 minutes?
I would say that, what Wilson's doing is not like sanctioned fighting. Was it Vucevic that was face down? He already had a hockey stick in his throat, and then he was, getting hit in the back, so kind of driving him further into the ice. And then Panarin getting, essentially, AEW DDT'd into the ice. Neither of those are what should constitute, some boys letting off steam in a hockey game, which is just gloves coming off, maybe a punch or two getting thrown, and basically some jerseys getting stretched. I don't think that, what was it, a $5,000 fine? I don't think that at all is going to make an impact on future behavior decisions for Tom Wilson. I know it's a totally different sport. It's not accepted at all. And it was more about these guys, entering fan areas, but there's just no way that $5,000 is going to do anything. So when I think about like the Pistons and the Pacers having a, pretty violent fight, those were guys who were getting 15 games, 30 games. Ron Artest got 86 games. Totally different sport, I know, and it's because they entered the stands, but it felt like that was a punishment that felt like fit the crime. You do something like this, you're going to miss a large fraction of the season. And I don't think Tom Wilson is getting the point. And I really hate that the Rangers owner, Dolan, is firing, their president and GM essentially the day after this happens.
Well, we skipped a step though of why. Let me recap here. So the Rangers gave a statement of saying that George Peros should be removed from his job, and the reason that the firings happened today, and this, I shouldn't say the reason. I'll say this: the reason the Rangers said the firings happened was because of performance. And again, that's where we start to put we connect the dots and say, well, the Rangers are moving in the right direction after kind of going through a rebuild. So how Like, you weren't expecting them to win the cup this year, so it's not that far off. So later on, after the firings happened, I shouldn't even say later on. I maybe it was like a half hour. Somebody comes out with a report that our two gentlemen, Davidson and Gordon, both were against this statement coming out of, or they, I guess they made it public that they didn't want to be seen as connected with the statement of asking for George Peros to be relieved of duties as NHL Player Safety director. So they wanted to be disassociated with the Rangers making that statement. And there's a lot in the middle that we don't know, but it does sound like maybe one guy was supposed to get fired, and then it was just kind of like, well, I'm not going to fire him for doing that, depending on if you want to say Davidson was going to get fired or Gordon was going to get fired, and then the other guy stepped down along with him. That kind of seems like that's what happened here, especially with them with the reports coming out that either both of them or one of them was not on board with that New York Rangers statement that they wanted George Peros relieved because Tom Wilson only got a $5,000 fine. So a lot in the middle there we don't know, but we can connect some dots based on some reports coming out from TSN and Sportsnet. And then, of course, again, like the Rangers are moving in the right direction at least. And they pulled the trigger on a guy like Artemi Panarin, which was a good move. I mean, you get a guy that's going to be an MVP candidate most seasons. That's you lock him up. You're doing good. So that's where I'm sitting with the Rangers and then Davidson and Gordon. So the thing that I wanted to do was actually applaud the Rangers for doing that. And it's kind of a bummer that the whole story flipped now because the Rangers relieve Davidson and Gordon of their duties, because I think we're going to lose the focus on trying to fix player safety and punishing a guy like Tom Wilson or the next guy that does a Tom Wilson thing the right way.
I'm looking at what we've done in the past for Tom Wilson. Man, there was a blurb here about suspensions he's gotten. Back in like 2018. We're actually on like 3-year anniversary of that. It was in May. He got 3 games for an illegal check. October 2018, 20 games, illegal check, and then boarding, 7 games. I don't know, man. They brought up that Pacer Piston example because they really tried to be like, all right, this is never happening again. Like, these guys are going to be out for a long time. So for Tom Wilson, do you see that being like a whole season, essentially, like kicking him out for next season?
I think you absolutely could. You could just kick him out for the rest of the year. I think that's fair. I don't know why. Like, it's one of these things that people come to his defense and they're so scared of what would happen if he got, I guess, if he saw the consequences that you keep describing from Malice at the Palace. I don't understand the support for Tom Wilson. I guess if you're a Washington Capitals fan, again, like I don't know why there isn't frustration with him doing this. Instead, they applaud it, and that goes back to like the culture of being a hockey fan, the culture of the NHL. And it's actually disgusting because really the only time that anything's going to happen with Tom Wilson and the NHL player safety is going to change what's going on is like, let's say tonight somebody takes Wilson's head off and maybe he's injured for the rest of the season. Well, then what? Then do we say, oh shoot, we probably should have suspended the guy?
I don't know if it's maybe because it's harder to feel the impact as a team when you have an idiot like Tom Wilson. I didn't even have to stretch as far back as I did for the Pistons. If we just look at what the Lions had with Ndamukong Suh, and he would do those moronic moves where he was stomping on people's heads and, just illegal play that needed to be punished. You could feel it. At first you'd kind of be like, yay, somebody's standing up for a crappy team. And then you're like, wait, we're trying to win games. Please stop getting penalties because you're setting the entire team back. I don't know if a single game's, 5-minute major, is quite really getting the message across. And it's not like you could punish other players on the team and really extend it past the power play, but this guy's not getting the message, Matt. It should be more hardcore we like 20 games for this guy. It's almost like they have to reset how you're doing the penalties for the repeat offenders. It's almost like you have to increase it incrementally to be like, we gave you a warning, man. If you keep doing this shit, we're gonna just knock you out of the league.
Well,
we're not. I don't know.
What if we ask like the simple question? Why didn't the NHL just suspend him one game so he avoids the next game against the New York Rangers so that there isn't a huge clash? It's because the NHL sees there's money in this. Like, you can't tell me any other. Like, that's what they want. They want us all to tune in to see Tom Wilson fight. And really, all of this is making me feel guilty about like the Red Wings and the Avalanche. But that goes back to I guess the same sort of dirty move going to Draper and his face breaking open, and then we have to get our payback the next year. Like,
I still see a difference. Maybe it's our Red Wing beer goggles, but I still see a difference if we're throwing fists as opposed to driving people's heads into the ice.
Right. That is a great point. Like, what Darren McCarty did was not any way, shape, or form that. I'm just saying, like, I guess it's one of those things where we're all hoping for retaliation because it's good TV, and then I that's what I'm saying is like, oh shoot, this is what the NHL is trying to do tonight. And of course it was great TV. It's a game we go back to all the time. But you're absolutely correct. Like, it's completely different because McCarty kept it to fisticuffs. For that reason, but we just don't know what's going to happen with Tom Wilson tonight. And again, it's a guy that, like, across the NHL, even NHL alumni are piping in saying this is not, this isn't the code. This isn't the NHL code. This is way beyond that. Something had to happen, and
that's where you bring it back home to Red Wings Rant, right? Because this goes beyond a receipt, which is what, the Red Wings and the Avalanche, that's what that was. It was a receipt for a dirty play, right? And then it was still arguably within the confines of what a receipt should be, where it's fists. We've all agreed that hockey, we're going to allow some sort of boxing on ice, but we're not going to allow you to use hockey sticks as weapons, ice skates as weapons, or unforgiving ice as a weapon. And, Wilson is using option number 3, and he arguably did it twice to 2 different players in one 2-minute segment. So he had a guy with, a stick in his throat, mashed him into the ground, mashed him into the ice, and then took a second player and drove him into the ice. So I don't see that's not fighting. That's just violence.
And I guess, to wrap this up, I think it's pretty clear how we feel. We do have a couple of Red Wings things we wanted to talk about. And I guess, I think in the long run here, the last 2 things I want to touch on are the Rangers releasing that statement, and a lot of people saying there's nothing to gain from that statement. I think it's just something that was trying to bring more eyes to this problem. And, I'm fine with it. I think a lot of people inside the NHL are looking at it and going, oh my God, now the Rangers are going to get hit with like $1 million fine for saying this, which, goes back to, that's actually, you don't want to say it's unprecedented. That's the NHL's fined for $1 million before. So it goes along those lines. But sometimes you gotta do that stuff to make real change. And I think anybody that has a problem with the Rangers trying to force a little bit of change in the NHL, I think, you gotta kind of look at like what's been happening around the world. You don't just want to say like the last year, but I mean, look at how we've all been evolving the last 20 years. And are we really going to sit here and stay stuck on the fact that the NHL players are supposed to be policing themselves? I don't think so. I think we're well beyond that. I think as we become smarter sports fans and NHL fans, and we see what could happen to the human body, I think we know that sometimes even if an NHL player says, I don't want to die on the ice, I think it's fine if we decide as a species, like, we take that away from them with new rules. Like, I'm sorry, you're not dying on the ice. Unfortunately, you're going to have to live the rest of your life. And you can't fight to solve these problems anymore. Instead, guys are going to get suspended for chunks of games. And that's what I'd prefer. I think that's a way more human way to solve these problems. And if you think doing that is going to take away checks, on the ice, I just don't know. Like, we're drawing the line at complete and utter violence. And if you can't see the difference, man, I guess it goes back to, maybe for some of us, there's probably elements of lizard brain that take over a little bit more than others. And I think that goes back to people that are hardcore MMA fans. And of course, you and I, pro wrestling fans, but the huge difference there is you have two gentlemen in the ring, two women in the ring who are completely in control. They are not losing it on each other. That's a show. But yeah, the MMA fans, I've never gotten into it. I'm not into boxing, not into MMA. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but UFCs and boxing too are still about person-to-person combat and not using the environment as a weapon, not using a weapon as a weapon. So still different from our sweet buddies at DraftKings are offering this weekend with some perks to put some money on the line. But we're not trying to see assault with a hockey stick. We're not trying to see people bleeding from the brain by getting driven into the ice. So I would like to avoid that if possible. Rest my case.
Red Wings Rant. Let's talk some Red Wings hockey. Mike, at the halfway point of the season, I thought this was very interesting. Or you know what? We've got two games coming up against Columbus, Friday and Saturday. Just to kind of put this all together, we'll kind of turn this into one segment. Bertuzzi, successful back surgery. We kind of knew he wasn't coming back for the rest of the season, but a little tidbit there.
Can I say that I'm relieved it's back surgery? For some reason, I was really scared that, I don't know, that it was COVID related or something mental health related. And I didn't know if he was going to be a Kyrie Irving or he's just in and out of the lineup, or God forbid, one of our favorite wrestlers passed away. I didn't want it to be that. In 2021, I'm relieved that a hockey player just had back surgery. That's how insane that is.
Right. And again, I think a lot of people focused on, oh my God, what if he turns into Danny DeKaiser? Hey, everyone. His name is Tyler Bertuzzi, human being. He's a part of this world that we're all in. And everybody's like, no, what if he becomes Danny DeKaiser? I think you just made the best point. There's something that was fixable on Tyler Bertuzzi. And hockey career, we don't know, but the human being just got surgery to fix his back. Also, fun little tidbit. The New York Hospital for Special Surgeries, I feel like they could come up with a better name, but whatever. But yeah, Robbie Fabry also done for the season, even though he was in practice today. They said he got rid of the, tickle me jersey instead of checking me. But they made it official. He's done. But Mike, for these last two games against Columbus, I want to come back to a question I asked you at the halfway point of the season. It's just kind of funny, the different options I gave you. At the halfway point of the season, I asked you what you would prefer. Anthony Mantha in the top 10 in scoring to end the season.
Well, kind of. It's kind of happening, right? Just not for us.
Zadina with an uptick in goals, and basically what we were saying is that it's the same kind of thing. His production would increase, and if we go to our good buddy Jay Fresh, friend of the show, Zadina's a 7% WAR, so out of 100. So I mean, maybe that didn't happen. And then we asked for more playing time for Svechnikov, which also did not happen. I would say it stayed pretty steady till the end of the season, and now after the trade deadline, of course, his minutes went up. Or Mike, the final option: do we want to finish 500 to finish out the second half of the season? Now, we can't finish 500 wins and losses, but by points percentage, we can finish 500 because we sit at 10, 11, and 5. Mike, we can actually hit one of those.
What is this cruel, needful things version of our poll coming to fruition, where Zadina just didn't do it, right?
Right.
God forbid, stop winning games. If we go 500 in the second half, it's going to F up our draft pick. So, okay, well, what about Anthony Mantha? Maybe if you're over 500, maybe you're contending. Well, he's not a Red Wing anymore. And then, increased Svechnikov and, the younger guys playing time. I kind of, man, this is almost a nightmare scenario. I didn't think we would get almost 3 out of these 4 things.
I'm pretty sure. Now, for some reason, I deleted our notes for this episode, and I actually did not have the patience to listen to like 5 different episodes to find out what you said. But I do remember you saying the nightmare scenario would be us finishing 500. So here we are, 10, 11, and 5. We have 2 games
almost
left.
On the nose.
Right. We might finish. We might finish above 500, Mike, to end the second half points percentage.
What a nightmare! Oh,
to me, I'm tickled. I think it's funny.
You'll be laughing really hard when you're drafted 9th. Woo!
Well, and we have, these are 2 crucial games for our draft position as well, with Columbus being the lower seed of the 2 of us right now. So
who else can we bench?
Right. Robbie Fabbri coming in? Hell no. So I just wanted to come back to that question and say, I mean, you already answered it, but I was going to ask you, is there any piece of you that wants us to finish this season above 500?
Not a single shred.
Right.
Man, put Picard in there. I want Picard in goalie for both games.
Christ, what are you doing? Yeah, it's funny to me that we're sitting here at this. I definitely wanted to touch on it because of all the things I think I would have said that was last. I would have said the increased ice time per game for Svechnikov was probably the most likely, and or Zadina, or Anthony Mantha. You know what? Any of those were more likely than this, and none of them came close. In regards to points per anything, points per 60 or ice time per 60 going up, none of that happened. But the 500 record, lo and behold, Jeff Blashill, coached a team. I had to bring it back to that. To being 500 the second half of the season. Amazing. All right.
Matt, I gotta say, we desperately need to crater these 2 games. We have 1 more point than Columbus. We have played an extra game, but the point percentage, we're at, we win 41.7% of our games, or, we get a point. Columbus is at 41.5. Matt, we need to lose at all costs. We're already screwed for number 1, 2, because the Ducks are at 36%. We got Buffalo 34%. Those are gone. Those are off the map. And the Kraken. And New Jersey's at 406. Matt, we desperately need Picard to step up and play like shit for 2 games in a row.
Well, I can tell you right now he's probably not going in, but he hasn't even been our taxi squad goalie. Gosh, I don't know. I shouldn't even mention it.
Matt, line change question here.
Yeah, go for it.
Does this mean that Blashill's gotten word that he is going to be relieved of his post as head coach? And so in the ultimate cue to Yzerman, he's winning almost half of his games on the way out the door to really screw up the Red Wings' future on the way out.
I thought you were going to take this in a different. I thought you were going to take it in a different route and say that he's just I need to go into these next interviews and say, look at what I did with this roster. 500 the second half of the season. I'm not going to tell you that Yzerman told me to tank the first half of the season, but and then he goes on to talk about, look at my defensive strategy. I made it easy for Greiss and Bernier. There's a way to talk yourself into another coaching position with the way that he's performed this year. Again, fun fact, right? Two wins at the end of the season, and we end up over 500 in points percentage.
Oh, what a nightmare.
All right. Let's see. I'm looking at our notes. Tom Wilson, scumbag. Red Wings, Columbus. Mike, it's your birthday. You want to go have some fun. Should we punt on the upcoming UFAs, or do you want to go through those real quick? We're at 35 minutes, so this is enough episode for the Hockey Podcast Network, and we'd have something to talk about on Sunday.
The only reason I want to punt on it is the off season's a long time when you're not a part of it. So we might have to do UFAs on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll work. We'll see if anybody changes their mind these last couple of games. Maybe Helm will get he'll pull a Wayne Gretzky.
Hot streak. Yeah.
5 goals in the last game of the season.
He'll figure it out.
All right, let's wrap up. I'm gonna have to adjust the name of our episode on YouTube and just say Tom Wilson scumbag. By the way, autocorrect today changed scumbag to cumbag. I thought that was cool. Anyway, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Find us at BOD Hockey on Twitter, brothers _of _discussion on Instagram, and of course, there's always the Retire 73 shirt that you can find on bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com, and the another Iser Plan fleece as well. So go check those out. And if you did enjoy the show, if you agree that Tom Wilson is a scumbag, not officially, that was autocorrect that made that correction there. Apparently,
when you type cumbag a lot, your phone starts to use it more often. Yeah. That's a little user fact there. You want to keep to yourself there.
Who wants a piece of this cumbag? All right. We officially lost DraftKings as a sponsor. All right. Damn it. Just got to mark it as explicit content.
How about Blue Pill? Come aboard.
All right. Let's just wrap up before we get kicked off of YouTube.
We lose all our sponsors. All right.
Mike, enjoy AEW Dynamite if you do end up watching it. And everybody, have a good one.
Bye.